So, have you ever wondered where the legal buck really stops in Azad Jammu and Kashmir? Well, today we're going to do a quick explainer on its highest judicial body, the AJ&K Supreme Court. Let's get into it.
All right, think about it like this. Every legal system, no matter where it is, needs a final say. A place where the arguments stop and a decision is made, once and for all. This is exactly where you find that final word in Azad Jammu and Kashmir.
All right, so let's start with the big picture. What is this court's main job? We're going to look at its core purpose and the actual document that gives it all its authority.
So, at its heart, the Supreme Court of Azad Jammu and Kashmir is the highest court of appeal in the region. It's the final arbiter of the law. What that really means is, when they make a decision, that's it. It's the last word, and it sets the standard for every other court.
Now, this authority doesn't just come out of thin air. It's all laid out in the AJ&K Interim Constitution Act of 1974. You can think of this document as the bedrock, the foundation for everything the court is and does. So, get this. How many judges do you think make up this highest court? The answer might surprise you. It's just 3. That's it. A Chief Justice and 2 other judges. It's a really small, focused group making these huge decisions.
Okay, so we know what the court is. Now let's talk about who is on it. How do you get to be one of these 3 judges? Let's break down the appointment process.
The way judges are appointed is actually pretty interesting and shows the unique governance structure of the region. It's a 2-step process. First, the Prime Minister of Pakistan gives advice on who the candidates should be. Then, the President of Azad Jammu and Kashmir makes the official appointment. So, it's a collaboration.
And here's a look at the current bench. You've got Chief Justice Raja Said Akram Khan, along with Justice Khwaja Mohammad Naseem and Justice Raza Ali Khan. These are the 3 individuals who currently make up the court.
And how long do they serve? Well, it's not a fixed term like, say, 4 or 8 years. Instead, they serve until they hit the mandatory retirement age, which is 65.
All right, let's get into what is probably the most important part, jurisdiction. This is just a fancy word for what the court is actually allowed to do. It defines the scope of its power.
The court's main role is what's known as appellate. Basically, it doesn't hear cases for the first time. Instead, it reviews decisions that have already been made by lower courts. So, it hears appeals coming up from the High Court of AJ&K and the AJ&K Shariat Court. It can also take on appeals from administrative tribunals, but only if there's a really important question of law at stake.
And this is a really key point. Let's put it side by side with the Supreme Court of Pakistan. The Supreme Court of Pakistan has both appellate and original jurisdiction. Original jurisdiction just means it can be the very first court to hear certain types of cases. But the Supreme Court of AJ&K, it's almost exclusively an appellate court. That's a huge difference. So what does that mean in the real world? It means you, as a citizen, can't just take your case straight to the Supreme Court of AJ&K. It's not designed for that. The only time it acts in an original capacity is when it's asked to give an advisory opinion. It's not hearing a case from the start.
So when you put all the pieces together, you've got the tiny 3-judge bench, that unique appointment process, and this almost purely appellate function, you start to see a court that plays a very specific and unique role.
And really, it all boils down to this one simple idea. As one source puts it, the court now simply serves as the appellate court. Think of it this way. It's the final referee, not the one playing in the first half of the game.
So, this brings up a really interesting thought, right? How does a court that only hears appeals actually shape the future of the law in its region? Well, it does it by interpreting the law, by setting precedents that everyone else has to follow, and by making sure the law is applied consistently across the board. It's proof that sometimes the greatest power isn't about being the first to speak, but about having the absolute final word.